One. Well, hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I am excited to be hanging out with somebody that's going to bring some hope and some possibility into our lives. And who in the world doesn't need both of those? Hope and possibility. So if you have enough hope and you have too many possibilities, then probably jump off because this probably isn't for you, right? So I'm honored to be hanging out with Executive Vice President of Sports See, I knew it. I knew it. Philanthropy. There it is. I'm used to saying philanthropic. So Philanthropy Network. It's Sports Philanthropy Network. And I'm honored to be hanging out with Kayla Bradham. How are you today?
Dave, I'm great. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I love the work you're doing and the events you put on.
Awesome. Well, we are going to jump into some fun stuff today. So let's start off with the hardest question of what in the world is sports philanthropy? See there, I did it again. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is going to be a great one. I already know the when I suck at the beginning, they're killer episodes. So
That's right.
how
SPN,
do you say
SPN.
your company name? Why don't you say it for me?
I say this, Dave. Hi, my name is Kayla Bradham. I'm the EVP of SPN.
There you go. I'm going to call it SPN from now on. So it's sports, the word I can't say, and network. So fill us in on what's going on over there, Kayla.
So we are working really hard, Dave, to build stronger, healthier, more inclusive communities through sports. It's not just about kids, it's about the people my age. I'm 50. It's about healthy aging, and it's about tackling the social issues that we're facing in our communities, whether they're financial literacy, mental health, racism, food insecurity, you name it. We know that sports has the power to bring people together for change, for good.
And do you work with a lot of so you mentioned kids, so that's part of this as well. It sounds also from the research that I've done and what we've talked about, former pro athletes are involved as well as college athletes. I saw some college athletes on your website as well. So how do you mix all that together? I'm just curious for somebody listening that's never heard of SPN. They've heard of ESPN, but not maybe SPN. So I'm just curious where and how do those all connect?
So think about your favorite restaurant and the really cool chef with the big puffy hat in the kitchen. We're cooking up the secret sauce, Dave. What we found out is anytime you put athletes and influencers in a room with philanthropists, your C-suite executives, your benevolent people, and sports nonprofits, and you get them talking, really great, cool things happen. When we discovered that, we realized nobody else is doing that. We had big networks, big Rolodexes, if anybody's that old. And it's the secret sauce. Like it's just the secret sauce. We're cooking up good stuff.
So when you say secret sauce, I mean, so if I'm a business owner, entrepreneur listening right now, and let's just say that I have a favorite sport or my hobby is watching a sport, maybe still participating in a sport, maybe I have kids or grandkids that are coming up through sports. I tie that all together because I'm
Sure.
trying to make that connection for the person that's listening today.
Sure. So I'll give you two quick examples that will hopefully tie it together. 2 years ago, Super Bowl's in Tampa Bay. We are dealing with a lot of COVID stuff at the time. Um, One of the NFL alumni, who is actually a Walter Payton Manning Man of the Year award winner, is really passionate about healthy food for children and food insecurity.
Okay.
So we partnered with that athlete and a sports nonprofit, think Boys and Girls Club or Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, something like that, and a big box store, think Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's or something
Sure.
like that.
Okay.
And what we did is we bring these kids together. They're learning about hydroponic gardening. They're learning about container gardening. So the big box store comes in with the 5 gallon buckets, the gloves, the dirt, the seeds.
Okay.
The NFL athlete is there by Zoom because we still had to have some social distancing at that point, saying, "Hey, kid, what's your favorite vegetable? I love fried green tomatoes. What are you going to grow in your garden?" And then the sports nonprofit and the science nonprofits are right there in the school working with those kids to continue to educate them. So we're tackling food insecurity. The kids get to be with the athlete. The big box sponsor is using some of their corporate social responsibility marketing dollars. It all works together. The other example this year, NFL owners meetings were in Phoenix at the Biltmore, and the NFL owners, their wives, their kids, we're all partnering together with a nonprofit where we all came together. And you might not think you've ever seen an NFL owner or a GM with a drill in their hand, but we all made rolling carts for a Title I local grade school in Phoenix. And the NFL will pitch in with books and things so
Sure.
that these kids in these Title I underserved schools have rolling library carts in their classrooms. Tell me that's not awesome.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. So if I'm understanding, so if I was a pro athlete and I was on, whether I'm wherever I am in my career, and I have an idea, I have a passion about something, that I want to help kids, or I want to help farmers, or I want to help whatever. I just want to give back. That's where you guys then come in to try to help them in that, kind of flush out that passion. Is that where you guys start?
Yeah, I would say we're conveners. So we have, like I said, those pretty big athlete Rolodexes. We've really gained the trust of a lot of big businesses who say, I want to help. I just don't know where to put that money. And sports nonprofits, they want to do good. They just don't have all of the pieces that they need because they're nonprofits.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we sort of put that 1,000-piece puzzle together.
So then you would, if I was the athlete, you'd connect me with somebody that would align with my passion from a nonprofit perspective. And then if I'm a business owner listening and I have that same passion, then I would jump into on your website, let's say, because I saw you had events all over the country going, coming up in 2023. So then I would find something that aligns with what my passion is as a business owner, and then just kind of jump in and see what happens. Are a lot of people just showing up and going, I have no clue what I'm doing here. I'm just here to,
Yeah.
I don't even know why I'm here. I know I should be here.
We're great at onboarding. We love people. So yeah, Dave, you nailed it. We're building out 30 chapters in the biggest cities across the United States. We'll have those up by the end of 2024. We're about halfway there.
Okay.
By doing all of these events, if we really, as a nation, want to change our communities, one local community at a time, when you get 30 communities, I'll use PJ Flex, rowing the boat together, that's where that big change comes in. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're seeing the power of it. We're seeing the impact.
Okay. And then I'm assuming it transcends all the different stereotypes, like, race and religion and all that. It's just kind of like we're using sports as our kind of our connector. And then we just kind of look past, again, hopefully, and focus on that. At the end of the day, the goal, though, sounds like it's to change your community. Is that really, in a nutshell, what you say is the ultimate goal of this?
My community and every person watching or listening to this podcast, let's change your community too. But let's roll up our sleeves. I already have mine up. I almost always have sleeves rolled up. Let's roll up our sleeves together and do it together.
Awesome.
1+1. You're a business guy. 1+1 =3. We're done with the competitive advantage. We are now in the collaborative advantage. Thank
Sure.
goodness.
Yep, absolutely. And so I want to go back to something that you mentioned before here. Kayla, you mentioned about building out a chapter. So you're actively looking for people that are interested in taking this probably to the next level.
Yeah.
There's the person that just sits and watches, and then there's somebody that wants to jump in, and then there's somebody that goes off the deep end, so to speak, and jumps in and may want to build out a chapter. What does that mean to build out a chapter? What are you looking for, and how can we, the listeners, help improve our communities this way?
Well, thank you so much for asking. That's the most beautiful question I've been asked this week. So thank you.
Well, great. Well, it's only Tuesday, so but I'll take it.
So with our chapters, every chapter has a chapter director.
Okay,
That chapter director is saying, I am planting my feet for my community. I really want, and Dave, I live in Milwaukee, right? So
sure,
in Milwaukee, 25% of all Black men are currently incarcerated. Less than 25% of adults have a college degree. I'm planting my feet on
yeah,
my community and saying, like, I'm living here because I see things that need to be changed.
sure,
So the people who are planting their feet on their community, we're looking for a chapter director, and then chapter directors need support. We all need support. We believe in the power of collaboration. Each of our chapters is supported by a 20-member leadership council in communications, events, fundraising, or outreach. So we believe in the power of networking, and that's huge because think about people like you and I and chapter directors and leadership council people. Who wouldn't be blessed with 20 people in a leadership council times 30 chapters? That's 600 people at a very high level in a network. Then
sure,
say every chapter has 100 ambassadors like, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to support you. I don't want to plant my feet, but I want to support you.
sure.
What's 100 times 30? Think about
Yeah,
the net. When we say network, we mean network.
sure. Wow, that's awesome. So I think about this chapter director piece, and I'm thinking about the people listening, and I'm like, oh, come on, Kayla, that's way outside my comfort zone. I'm not really sure that I'm built for that. I don't have the connections. I don't know any of the local personality stars. I'm not connected like that. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of excuses right now across the world of everybody listening. So how do you address those type of I want to say doubts, maybe self-doubt. I mean, how do you encourage somebody, to just try it before they say no to it?
Yeah, well, I know excuse is always the enemy. Excuses serve nobody. I'll give you an example of our Milwaukee chapter director, if that's okay.
Sure, for
And
sure.
NBA alumni, Clippers, Mike Taylor, first person in NBA history to get drafted out of the G League.
Okay.
And we sit down one day and he's like, Kayla, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience doing this chapter director stuff. But my wife and I moved back to Milwaukee because I'm really passionate about mental health, especially Black mental health. Mike is the captain of the Ghost Ballers for ICE's 3-on-3 league right now. So anybody watching CBS Sports, we're cheering for the Ghost Ballers, just so you know. Mike says, Mike says, Kayla, I don't really know a lot about like the management and the organizing and the event planning, but I care about mental health. So what
Sure.
can I do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, getting the first person in NBA history to be drafted out of the G League, that's good help, Mike Taylor. Thank you for joining us. And maybe
Sure.
you're not Mike Taylor. Maybe you're an event planner. Maybe you've risen to the top, the glass ceiling in corporate America, and you say, I know how to manage. I know how to lead. I never played sports in my life, but I know how to run reports and manage data and lead people. Then you're the perfect person. It's not a cookie cutter thing. It's like
Sure.
when I I hire people who are coachable, who I can train, but most importantly, who have the vision and they're on the bus and they want to, get on the
Yeah.
bus and go and they
Sure.
kind of want us to speed. I
Yeah.
like that. I like
That's
that.
super cool. Yeah, that's so cool. Well, and I just want to encourage anybody listening, to really think about that. We've all been blessed with so much, right? And it's like I look at places all the time. I'm like, where can I give back? How can I give back? And I have to say, it's really full disclosure. It's really easy to write a check, right? I mean, that's like it feels like for some people they can't do that, which is fine. For me, it doesn't feel really that emotionally connected, especially when where you have this money automatically withdrawn from an account each month. It's like, man, it just doesn't even it doesn't scratch the itch, right?
Yeah.
So somebody, if they wanted to jump into a chapter, you would go to your website and then try to find a chapter that was hopefully in your town. If you didn't have one, then that's the encouragement, is to try to start one. So I'm assuming, is that kind of the progression that you see tend to happen here, Kayla?
Yeah, or just reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with whoever you need to be in touch with. But Dave, you said something beautiful. It is so easy to write a check.
Yeah,
I I stand strong on time, talent, or treasure. What I've learned in my life, I grew up in ultra rural poverty. I wouldn't have been able to write a $5 check at certain points in my life. But if I was passionate about something, I'd be all in. So for me,
sure.
it's time, talent, or treasure, and make your money count. For me, every time I make, one of those, like, just write a check, I write a check for any of my causes in $44, and I do it in honor of Hank Aaron. So if you're gonna do something, at least when you get the receipt back,
Yeah,
you kind of smile and you're like,
yeah,
okay, at least there was a reason, right? So for me it's 44. Find your favorite person or a birth date of a loved one or
sure.
something that's meaningful, and donate with a purpose.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So time and talent and treasure. So we all have those. And so it's just a matter of how do you tap into those. And I know, like, we're almost 200 episodes in to our podcast, Kayla, and I know from talking to leaders like you around the world that it comes back a lot to where realistically my money doesn't satisfy, and if I don't use my talents, I'm not satisfied, and I only have so much time. I mean, it comes down to where it's like, if you do a little soul searching here, you kind of find out that once you find that passion, like you found, you just got to go with it. And I love that about you. That's the cool part about that, is you can see that, it exudes every time I see it. It's just pouring out of you. But I'm just curious, how did this start for you? I mean, how did you start this? Where did this passion come from? If you were started in, rural poverty, how did it transform to where you are now?
Well, I'm going to be very, very vulnerable and transparent. And I'm going to hope that by me being vulnerable, it will inspire someone.
Sure.
Like I said, I grew up in severe poverty. When I say we were poor, like we didn't have a car, sometimes we didn't have a phone, sometimes we didn't have a TV, and people shake their head. And I say, no, you don't understand. We were so poor, my mom didn't have a driver's license. I had to pay somebody to drive me to college. That makes
Sure.
sense, right?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
poor. So when I was a little girl, and all of you can remember grade school, the teacher gives you the permission slip for band and sports. They come out on the same day. It was my first time. I was so excited. I wanted to play the alto saxophone like my Aunt Debbie, and I wanted to play baseball. So when my teacher gave me the softball one, I said, oh no, I think you gave me the wrong one. I need baseball. And she said, no, Kayla, baseball for boys. You have to play softball. I went home. I was so excited. And I give my mom the permission slips. And she looks at me and she says, you're not playing sports. Sports are for rich kids. What do you think? Money doesn't grow on trees. That was the end of it. And I knew that was the end of it. So I went back to school the next day. I handed my permission slips back to my teacher, and she looked at me like, Kayla, these aren't signed. You got to get them signed. And I said, yeah, well, money doesn't grow on trees. And I started crying, the tears on the outside that just come
Sure.
dripping down.
Sure.
And
Sure.
Dave, it was the first time in my life I felt hopeless. And I just challenge people as they're listening to just go back in their life to the time when they felt hopeless, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know who, somebody paid my registration fees for me to play softball that summer. I was on the Boston Red Sox.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I happened to, on the first day to practice, I'm riding my bike. I find a quarter on the sidewalk. And the next block, I run into a garage sale. There's an old leather Rawlings glove for 25 cents, a lefty glove. And I like knew
Hey,
it
way
was
to
my
go,
destiny.
lefties. Good
Yeah,
job. Good
yeah.
job.
But also like, oh my gosh, I have a glove, right?
Wow.
I'm going to my first practice with a glove. This is great. And I can only say it my way, Dave. So
Sure.
for any of your listeners, forgive me, but I'm this little girl. It's a beautiful August afternoon and just this little tiny kid. And I'm going like, God, if you're real, can you help me when I grow up so I can do this for other kids so they can feel how awesome this is?
Sure. Wow.
Long story short, 5 years ago, last weekend, I'm at a Tony Robbins event at the United Center in Chicago with 11,000 people. Tony Robbins has this way of bringing you back to the time in your life you felt hopeless
Yeah.
so that you can figure out your passion, your purpose, and your destiny.
Sure.
I knew that that was my passion, my purpose, and my destiny. Decided that that's what I was going to do was find a way to make it work that same day. And 11,000 plus people, this guy's reaching out to me. He's like, can I talk to you? And he says, I've been wanting to start a sports nonprofit to build stronger, healthier, and more inclusive communities. And I said, say it again. And he repeats himself. I said, I think you're the answer to my prayer. And he's like, we, we've been together for 5 years. We started Sports Philanthropy Network. I'll say build stronger, or he'll say build stronger, healthier, more inclusive communities. I'll say create hope and possibility through sports. I knew I always wanted to go into something in that field. I didn't know if I wanted to be a person who designed bridges or sports media. I got called into the guidance counselor's office in 1990. Kayla, is it true you want to be an engineer or sports media? Yeah. Which one? Neither of those aren't good careers for a girl. You should consider being a teacher or a nurse.
Oh,
So I went to college where the Green Bay Packers had training camp back in the day. And it only took me one semester to change my major out of education, Dave. But I worked every job that the Green Bay Packers were at. I was their caterer, their bartender, their lunchroom girl. I was in the green room. I was washing dishes, wherever they were going to be. I was going to be there.
wow.
And it was guys like, Gilbert Brown, academic All-American Jayhawk. You got a chemistry test? Sit down. Reggie White, Haley, keeping your eyes on God. You keep your eyes on God, and God will keep his eyes on you. Santana Dotson, get out here. We're all playing frisbee. Get out here and have some fun. Just LeRoy Butler says to me one day, he says, "Girl, fix your face." I said, "I don't know what that means." And he's like, "I mean, fix your face." And I'm like, I don't know. He said, "Stop looking down at your feet like you're ashamed. We're so proud of you.
Oh my
You
God.
work so hard. You're outworking all these kids. We believe in you. Why don't you believe in yourself?" And
Wow.
so, we're coming up here on the Hall of Fame induction. And I'll just take you back to last year. LeRoy Butler got inducted into the Hall of Fame, right?
Sure.
My partner and I are sitting at the table with Santana Dotson and his daughter, and Gilbert Brown and his son are at the table behind us. And it's all full circle. Like you say, how did it get started?
Sure.
Because if it's your vision, it's your mission.
Wow.
When I was a little girl, this is what I asked for. And if I can do it, Dave, if I can come out of poverty, physical, sexual, emotional abuse, not paying somebody to drive me to college.
Sure.
If I can do that, then let that be the inspiration for everybody else that they can do it too.
Wow. That is so cool. I hate to do this, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Wow, that is awesome. So, and I would never in a million years, by looking at you, listening to you, I mean, I would never have known these things because you're just so quiet, peaceful, and somehow there's so much energy here. And so I'm so excited to be able to, unpack this with you. I'm just curious for, someone listening, like an entrepreneur listening, how do they, because like you took you basically are making a living out of your passion. And I love that piece. But for somebody listening that might not be able to go from, my day job to that's it, I'm quitting, honey, I'm quitting my job. We don't have insurance. We have no money, but I'm going to follow my passion of X, whatever that is. I mean, how do you get people to be able to do both for a while, maybe, or quite frankly, do both forever? I'm just curious what insight you have for them that are listening.
So great question. And let me start by, if anybody is listening and not seeing, I am a mom to 8 children. I am a single mom to 8 children.
Wow.
I've been there. I completely understand. When I exited corporate America, I went through those same kind of struggles. So first of all, anybody listening, you're not alone. I would say if it's your vision, it's your mission. If it's your passion, it's your purpose. Where there's a will, there's a way. Make it your hustle. Grow your hustle to the point that you can make your exit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Find what you're really good at, combine it with what you're really passionate about. Do a great job when you're at work, but most of us work 45 to 50 hours a week, right? That leaves
Yep.
a whole bunch of extra hours for your hustle. And continue to build your network. I think that's the biggest thing. You heard me say before, I'm all about collaboration. I truly believe that 1 + 1 = 3. Almost everything is about our networks, who we know, how we can work together, who we can help. That's simply what I would say
Sure.
is
Okay.
hustle, hustle,
Yeah.
hustle, hustle.
So, and a lot of people that we run across have had a side hustle where there was just something a little on the side, whatever, call it whatever you want. You're a woodwork, you make, birdhouses at night, right? Whatever. And you just love doing it. And you first birdhouse you make, you give it to the neighbor. And then all of a sudden the other neighbor sees it and like, where'd that come from? And before you know it, you have a little website and you're making a couple a week and you're getting paid for them. And then you're like, man, maybe I should throw this on Facebook, whatever, right? And it just starts to grow. So that's where I feel it's so important for us to be able to be kind of in tune with what that passion is. I think so many people go through life just existing and they don't really go to that spot where I really could do this if I wanted. And then to think that somebody with 8 kids was able to do this, it's like now I'm like, okay, she's either telling us a story that's but it's like, wow. I mean, you talk about all the things that were against you and how you still were able to make that through. So I just want to encourage people listening, don't quit your job. We're not telling you to quit your job. We're just saying to find what that passion is, because again, it might align hopefully with your purpose. And it's so cool, I think, when you meet people that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, I feel like you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And that's got to be a cool feeling. Is it scary at times for you, Kayla?
When the mortgage is due. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's not scary for me. Number one, maybe I'm a little bit more of a risk taker,
Okay.
but for my core values, um, I would rather trust in bigger things than myself. And I'm not as concerned about having ultra wealth as I am having ultra purpose and leaving a legacy for 8 children. I know
Sure.
that when I die, I pray I'm leaving a legacy like, wow, she dedicated her life to this.
Sure.
I think that's pretty cool. I'll stand on that all day long. And again, for anybody who doesn't know what their purpose is, go back to what made you feel hopeless.
Yeah. Wow.
Whatever that is that made you feel hopeless in your life, whoever told you you couldn't, where that trauma came from, we all have trauma, Dave.
Yeah.
Where that trauma came from, I guarantee you that's your destiny. Like
Wow.
that didn't happen for no reason.
Sure. That's
It
so
happened
cool.
to make the world a better place.
Yeah. And that's where the hope and possibility comes in. So that's where, again, I love those words, hope and possibilities. I mean, without hope, what do you have? And, if you wake up every day and, and we've run into people like that. And I've been in those stages in my life where I just want to get through the day. I don't care about making it a better place for somebody else. I just want to get through the dang day. Right. So
Crisis mode.
definitely, Yeah, there are definitely those times, and we're not talking about those speed bumps, but if that is your day to day, day in and day out, you're only living for the weekend or you're only living for whatever that next thing is, and there's really no hope there. That's what I think is so powerful about this discussion is wherever people are, they can be at the top of their game and still be empty. They can be at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and still have incredible emptiness. And so I just think that hope, I've personally, you and I share a faith that's the same. And so it's awesome to be able to believe in something outside of yourself, because man, every day my body finds new ways to cave in and crumple, and so it's like, man, I don't want to trust in this thing because it's just not taking me in the right spot. So but I'm just curious, way off the reservation, what's a favorite story that you have? I know you love telling stories. What's a favorite story that you have, maybe of an athlete that you've come in contact with, or somebody that's had huge influence in other people's lives? Is there any that come to your mind?
I could go on, and I don't have a favorite. I'll tell you some of my icons.
Sure,
Billie Jean King has done so much for women in sport. Marcia
sure,
Frederick, testifying for the United States of America gymnasts in the trial against USAG. Um, there are people that have just done so much for causes, but I think one that, maybe we don't hear a lot of, and I just want to shout him out, Jelly Roll Dalton. Lionel Dalton was a big dude. He got the name Jelly Roll from the hot dogs on the back of his head when he was a kid playing football. And we don't talk about this, but strength is an asset. Being chunky is an asset in some football positions.
sure,
When you're that big and you take that many hits, it takes a toll on your body.
sure.
Um, when Jelly Roll exited the NFL, he went into kidney failure,
Hmm,
and he was dying, and no amount of money that you make in the NFL is worth kidney failure and dialysis and a wife
sure,
and kids. And because he played in the NFL, he had a degree of wealth where he was able to get on multiple donor lists.
sure.
And for people who don't know, you're only on one donor list. When a donor came in from another list, he was able to get on that emergency medical flight. Him and his wife were able to just go check into hotels. He was able to have the surgery and he was fine. And thank
Wow,
God he's fine. By the
sure.
way, he's fine.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but what he learned through this is that he was very, very blessed and was afforded an opportunity that most people don't have. Most people don't have the money to be on multiple registration lists.
Sure,
These are
sure,
these are life and death situations. You are dying, literally dying. So he started a foundation, him and his wife started a foundation, and they help underserved people who need organs. They
wow,
pay for them to be on multiple lists, and
sure,
when a donor comes in, they put them on that emergency medical flight and they handle their hotels and they give them a per diem. They're literally saving so many lives. And Dave, you're never going to hear that on the news. You're not
yeah,
going to see it in your Twitter feed. It's not going to be
sure,
some, oh, look at what Mr. Dalton and Mrs. Dalton did. They're working quietly behind the scenes. He probably wouldn't even love that I'm sharing this, but it's people like that. Like, we're talking about saving lives
yeah,
quietly behind the scenes. Nobody's entitled to his money. He sacrificed his own life for his
sure,
income, for his family,
right,
and they're just quietly blessing people and saving lives. That brings me almost to tears just to talk
sure.
about it. And he's so
Wow,
humble about it. But
yeah,
those are the people that I work with, Dave. They're just
that's awesome.
working behind the scenes like it's no big deal. Like, the mentality is, yeah, Kayla, of course I'm doing that. Why wouldn't I? I mean,
Yeah,
I made it and I've been there. Why wouldn't I help somebody else? So I go back to, that was his hopelessness, right? Dude's
yep,
dying,
yep,
feeling hopeless.
yep.
He lives and now he wants to pay it forward.
Wow. Yeah, that is so awesome. Well, I tell you what, you had me at chunky because when I was growing up, that was me. And they would tell me in high, hey, you block. Like in football, they'd be like, you block. I'm just like, where'd that come from? And I was like one of the bigger kids, so I totally get it.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dalton, I totally understand it. So if you're listening, man, I totally get it. And thank you for sharing that. And I feel like it's so important for us to not excuse me, underestimate small acts of service, small acts of kindness. I'm guessing a lot of people are thinking right now, well, I could never do that. So then they think it's like black or white, all or nothing. Because I could never do that, then I'm not going to do anything. And I feel like that's a big mistake for us. And I'm hoping just if you can't do that, find something that you can do. I
You know what?
love find
Can I
something simple. Go ahead. Yep, jump in.
can I tell your listeners what they can do? I'm just going to share two of my
Yeah,
personal I'll give you three personal passion projects.
there you go.
You can donate protein bars to your local homeless shelter or your
Okay.
Boys and Girls Club, or you can keep some in your bag. And when you're walking on the street and you see homeless people, give them a protein bar. That's easy. 20 grams of protein for $2. You
Yep.
can do that. If you have a heart for underserved women and girls in sports, the next time you're at Walmart or Target, pick up some sports bras and drop them off to one of your local public schools. A lot of girls can't play sports because they don't have a sports bra.
Oh my
And
gosh.
finally, and this is a little bit more delicate, but it's worth saying, 1 in 3 women and girls cannot afford period products.
Oh
The next
wow.
time you're at the store, it doesn't matter what brand, what size, what color,
Sure.
nobody cares. Pick
Yep.
up a box and bring them to your local women's shelter and bless somebody. Those are my three personal passion projects that are
Sure.
very cheap and easy to do.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Easy.
I love it. I love that we would imagine for the sake of the conversation, if everybody, just everybody listening, the thousands of people listening, if they just went ahead and got protein bars. I mean, just that little piece right there, I always feel, I mean, that's a great idea because I always feel awkward sitting at that stop sign when there's a homeless person with their sign and I'm like, what do I do? I want to help, but I can't help everybody. And then you start getting into, well, what are they going to do with the money? And you just talk yourself out of it, right? So the reality is a simple way. What a great idea to have a box of protein bars. Now if they are truly in need, they'll take those, right? And if not, then that's on them. But
Yeah.
what a great piece. As we land today, Kayla, I just have one last question. What would your tip of the day be for somebody listening? Maybe maybe it's something we've already covered, but there's somebody listening that just needs a touch from you, and just share whatever that is because we love hearing tips, and especially in your situation, I'm on my edge of my seat waiting to hear what this one's going to be.
Well, I'll make it really personal. People always are sort of enthralled with who I know and like, how did I get that network? And a
Sure.
lot of us want to grow our network. So is it okay if I talk about my tip about how to grow your network?
Yes, for sure. Love it.
Okay, I call it bless up. So Warrick Dunn is one of my sports heroes. Many years ago, I heard Warrick speak at an influential conference and he was vulnerable. And I said, oh my gosh, considering that I grew up in a underserved poverty home with a single mom and he's building houses for single moms, that's somebody I want in my network. So when I reached out to him, I didn't just hit the connect button on LinkedIn. I didn't hit the I'm really cool and we should connect button. I didn't hit the hey, I got a business plan, we should connect button.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Is there anything I can do to bless you?
Wow.
Connect button.
Sure.
Tell me more. I really like the way you're buying houses for single moms. I grew up in an underserved home. I'm wondering if there's anything I can do to help or lean into the work that you're doing. Send. Hey, let's hop on a call.
Wow.
That you build your network by giving and blessing. So I always say, whether you're a college student and you're looking for your first job, or whether you're a C-suite executive, less up
Yeah.
and grow your network.
Wow. That's super
That's the
cool.
tip. That's the
That's
tip. Be
awesome.
altruistic.
Yeah, well, and there's so many people, Kayla, that we're either givers or takers, right? And there's so many people that are takers, and I don't want to say one's better than the other. If you struggle with that, if you tend to be a taker, jump outside that comfort zone and give the giving a try, because for givers, they just naturally give anyway. It's easy for them. So some people were like, yeah, way to go. That was super easy. I'm already doing it, right? But there's a group of people that are like, man, you know what? I wouldn't say, I'd never admit out loud I'm a taker, but
But
right. But inside, I think I might know I am, or I have a big blind spot and somebody needs to tell me that I'm a taker. So I just feel that that's really awesome. Find a place today to give, whether it's a, excuse me, a protein bar, whether it's some time, whatever it is, make a connection for somebody. I'm assuming that the SPN is always looking for people. So again, I want to encourage, as we land today, I want to encourage people to jump on their website and to be able to look to see what opportunities are available. There's financial and there's non-financial. And, I think it's so powerful to have both. So for people that want to get in contact with you, this might have stirred something up in them. They want to learn more about you, or they want to learn more about SPN. What's the best way for people to connect with you, Kayla?
you can find me on LinkedIn at Kayla J. Bradham, or Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook. Um, LinkedIn will be connections. Instagram will be friends. I work really hard to try to scroll through and like and comment and support people. So let's connect.
Cool. And I'm not going to say the website. You can say it, because I'm going to say it wrong because it's got my scary word in there. So what's the website for people to go to?
sportsphilanthropynetwork.org.
There you go.
sportsphilanthropynetwork.org.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Well, thank you again, Kayla, so much. This has been awesome. I'm super excited to continue to watch where this goes. And again, for people listening, I just want to encourage you, rather than jump onto your next podcast or jump into your next activity, just sit with this for a minute. And I just want to be able to hopefully say that the 40 minutes we invested actually helped you to do something about your passion, to build on your purpose that you already have, so that you can look back at this time and say, man, that was really a springboard into something that was life-changing for you or for somebody else. And again, thank you, Kayla, so much, and can't wait to keep learning from you.
Thank you, Dave.